Okay, we're back out at the quad here at the brute force. I'm just getting ready to put the front diff actually back into the frame. So I got the front diff right here. I got the axle holes filled with shop towel. I got the air vent hole, got a bit of shop towel in that as well. The back is all sealed, so we're good there. That's just keeps dirt from getting in there. Best thing to do when you're doing that is use whole sheets of shop towel, not torn ones, anything like that. Count how many you put in. So in the small axle side, the right side, just one in there, but on the large axle side on the left, there's actually 3 shop towels in there to fill that hole in. So when I pull those out, I can pull out 3 sheets. If I pull out 3 full sheets, I know that I got all the shop towel out. The air vent, I had to use a little torn piece because it's just such a small hole that you'd never fit in like a part of a whole sheet. So anyway, so that's where that is. So I'm going to see if I can wiggle this in there. I got the control arm or strut and hub assembly and whatnot held back with just a bungee cord there, and I got the steering arm held up out of my way by just jabbing a piece of wood in between the frame and it, and that's holding that up. So hopefully that's going to give me enough space to easily drop this in. If not, I'll figure something out, but let's see how it works. I think we're right in position here. So the front's a little down. That'll wrestle into place quite well. Okay. All right, that wasn't too bad getting that into place. So now I'm just gonna get the 3 mounting bolts and nuts for that. We're going to dose them in some anti-seize and find the torque specs and get those things in there and torqued right in. Okay, so we got the differential in position here. It took a little bit of wiggling, stuff like that, as you can see. The easiest thing to do was to kind of put it in with the pinion kind of in first. So say on roughly a 45 degree or maybe even less angle. Kind of get that pinion in, because you got to get it past the exhaust pipe, and then just basically wiggle it in, work it in. The biggest thing is even with the steering stem held up by the wood, it still likes to get in the way. If you had a buddy helping you out, it'd make it a lot easier, because then they could move it and stuff for you. But basically, just keep working at it, it'll go in. So it's in place now. It's held in with 3 bolts. Those are the bolts right there, and 3 nuts. So one goes here, one goes here, and another one goes right here. I already got that one in, kind of holding it in place right now. The frame holds it in place as it is anyways. Now I'm throwing some anti-seize on the bolts. It looks like they had something on them in the prior to anyways. They got a little bit of crud on there. The one that I already put in actually had a lot of crud on it still. It's kind of looked like an anti-seize type coating to me. The repair manual doesn't ask for it, nothing like that, but if you ever got to pull it apart, it might just make your life easier. On top of that is the nuts we are using are a locking nut. but they're not like a nylock nut. What they have is these two pieces of messed up thread, like weird thread on them. They're, you know, roughly quarter of the circumference of the nut each, and there's one on either side. And that, I don't know, somehow that creates a kind of like a opposing force that'll help lock the nut on. Because we're reusing these nuts, I don't want to really trust that, so I'm gonna put a little bit of thread locker on. That's also something that the manual doesn't suggest, because obviously you got locking nuts. But I'm going to throw a bit on it there anyways, just to make sure that those nuts don't come off. And then other than that, the torque spec for it is 43 foot-pounds. So yeah, I'm going to finish putting these other two in, get the nuts on the other side, and torque them up to 43 foot-pounds. For some reason, I'm not 100% sure why. I don't see any reasoning for it, but the manual does specify to put the bolts in from the left side of the quad, so that the bolts are going in on this side, and then you have the nuts on the right side of the quad. So if you want to see the orientation of my machine right now, that's how it's oriented. Yeah, like I said, I don't see a reason for it. I don't see any type of clearance issues or anything like that, but just on the case that there is something that I'm not seeing, I'm going to follow what the repair manual says and put them in this side. It is also the way I'm pretty sure that they came out, so you know, may as well keep going with that. All right, so I'm going to get this in, and these three in and torqued up to the 43 foot-pounds, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we have the three bolts and nuts anti-seized, thread locked, and torqued for the front differential. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to connect the steering stem. Okay, so I referenced the manual for a torque spec for you guys, but couldn't find one. It doesn't reference one, so basically just use your best judgment on these steering stem bolts. These are the bolts here. They got a locking washer on them, a split washer. As you can see here, let's see here, I've already put some thread lock on them. It says to use a non-permanent thread locker, like everything else. And they just go in to here, right? So you got to mess with the steering stem, get it lined up. I found it best was I untied the struts and from being held back so that they can move freely. It's allowing me to line this up way easier. So I'm just gonna line that up, thread those in, and yeah, just kind of, I don't know, pull them down a bit. Don't go all He-Man-y, and you are just threading into aluminum still. They're a fair size nut, so they should take a bit of pressure, but you know, basically once they're snugged up and tight, that's about all it should take, I guess. And yeah, you know, common sense, I guess. I like to give you guys as many torque specs as I can, so that you can be accurate on this if you want. But yeah, the repair manual just doesn't supply one. So I'm gonna nail these in there, and then I'll be back. Okay, I am starting to run out of filming light anyways. I still got a fair bit of light out there to work, but yeah, I don't know, running out of light anyways. Filming's gonna get difficult. What we're up to now is I need to put the steering stem clamp. So this is the part that holds the upper part of the steering stem to the frame. This is it right here. It is two pieces. They're doweled together. Well, sleeved, so the sleeves actually go right to the frame. Inside, just drop one of the bolts. So on the outside, there's a steel reinforcing plate. So here, do it down here, maybe this will be better. So there's a steel reinforcing plate. Then you got the two halves of the clamp, which are, like I say, they're doweled. So one holds one dowel. I don't know if these things, oh, they actually do come out. Okay, so they don't hold the dowels. The dowels are in there. They're spacers, whatever. Basically, probably to make sure you don't crush this too bad, because this feels like plastic. So there's two of them. There's one on each side. And they're going to work as spacers so you don't crush that. Then there's also two split oil seals or grease seals so that you can put them around the handlebar, obviously, or the steering stem, because otherwise without that you wouldn't get it on. So they're both split. They sit inside the grooves on either side of these clamps. And so the manual says to apply grease to both of these seals and to the inside of these clamps so that you get a nice smooth operation, obviously. So we're going to do that. We're going to apply grease to that. There's no locking agent or anything required for the bolts. And the torque spec on them is, actually got it right here, 18 foot-pounds. So I'm going to put this all together. I'll show you where it goes here. So if you look at the steering stem, hopefully there will be enough light. Here, the frame over here. Yeah, I don't know. If you look at the steering stem, there's two little welded gussets on either side. This thing's got a lot of play in between them. And that's where it goes. It goes on the steering stem there and bolts to the frame. So easy enough to do, not so easy to film when I'm losing light. So I'm going to do that, and then I think I'm probably going to end up covering the quad, because I think we're expecting some rain. Hopefully not too much. I want to get this done tomorrow. I want to at least have it to the point of on its own wheels would be great. Tomorrow's Saturday, so basically I got Saturday, Sunday, get her done before I got to head back to work. And that's my goal, get that done and get some other stuff for some other projects like the boat, and I need a barbecue patio built and stuff like that. So I need to get to all that as well. So big crunch, always a big crunch here in the spring to get a lot of projects done that didn't get done over the winter, because obviously it's, well, minus 40 sucks to work in. So yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm going to leave it for tonight. I'm going to get this steering stem finished, buttoned up. I'm not going to put the handlebars on or nothing. I'll leave that for tomorrow with you guys. And yeah.